Chess YouTube, I used to play a lot of 1e4 as white, and I was basically stuck around 1600, 1700 ELO. But as soon as I ditched 1e4 and played mainly 1d4 as white, my rating exploded up to the high 1800s in Blitz and to the low 2000s in Rapid on chess.com. And in this video, I'm going to show you why I believe 1d4 is the best opening move for improving players, and especially for aggressive attacking players such as myself. All right, in this game, I opened 1d4, my main move as white. Black goes knight f6, then we have c4, and then g6, heading for a King's Indian defense. I go knight f3, then bishop g7, knight c3, castles, and e4. So we're basically headed for a classical King's Indian structure, and what will black do in response? Well, black goes d6, I go bishop to e2, and I do want to say, I think the main reason I've gotten such better results with 1d4 over 1e4 is all of these 1d4 openings, they kind of feel the same. I mean, almost all the time, you're going 1d4 and then 2c4 or something similar, and every opening, whether it's the Slav or the QGD or the Grunfeld or the King's Indian and so on, they all kind of feel the same. They all have similar pawn structures, similar strategies, whereas after 1e4, everything is so wildly different. And with 1d4, instead of fighting for an absolutely insane initiative at all costs, you're just trying to get more space, and that long-term space advantage really is the edge that you are going for. I mean, the King's Indian being a perfect example. All right, now from here, the main move for black is going to be e5, of course, but instead in this game, black goes knight to c6. The idea being you're trying to put some pressure on his pawn on d4, but this move, knight c6, is super provocative. I mean, after all, white can just go d5, as I did in the game. d5 is the move, and I gotta say, at this point, I really didn't know any of the theory. I just knew from here, white has to be better. I mean, white's gonna castle, go h3, bishop e3, queen d2, start an attack, and so on. And you really don't need to know a lot of the opening theory from here to play really, really good chess in 1d4. In contrast to 1e4, if you're a 1e4 player, to get good positions as white, you really do need to know just a lot of theory, which to me, is kind of a, is one of those trade-offs where, to me, 1e4 just doesn't make as much sense for improving players, but I digress. All right, from here, black's got to move the knight. You can go to, say, e5, to b4, to b8, but no matter where you go with this knight, I mean, it's not going to be a good position for black. Black is going to be relatively passive. Now, in the game, black did go knight to b8, and I said, no problem. Let's just castle and see where the game goes. Now here, black goes bishop to g4. And this move just looks kind of strange. After all, the knight on b8 is now undeveloped, and black is swinging out the bishop, trying to put pressure on my center, but there's nothing to attack here in my center. Everything is just nice and safe and solid, and I just go h3, putting the question to the bishop, are you really going to give up the bishop pair that fast for literally nothing in return? And it turns out, yes, black is. Black takes on f3, I take back, and now from here, I just have the bishop pair in this really, really easy position. And from here, I may go, for example, bishop to e3, queen d2, bishop h6, or I may even go, for example, bishop e2, then f4 and e5. White has a lot of aggressive ideas here, and it's not really obvious what black is doing so far. Now, from here, black has a lot of different ways to try and get counterplay. For example, black can bring a knight to d7, or go c6 or c5, or e6, e5, a5 is playable. In the game, black does go knight b d7, though. I go bishop e3, continuing my plan. My plan, of course, being perhaps queen d2, bishop h6, and so on, trying to attack on the king side. All right, from here, black goes c5, heading for essentially a modern Benini pawn structure, but this has to be a good modern Benini for white, as black's e6 is just super, super delayed, and beyond that, black's already given up his precious light-squared bishop. I have the bishop pair for free, and again, it's not really obvious what black is doing so far. So I continue. Queen d2, threatening bishop to h6. Now, black here jumps in with the knight. Knight to e5 is the move, pressuring the bishop. Of course, I don't want to allow the trade on f3. That would ruin my kingside pawn structure, so I just drop back. Bishop e2. And keep in mind, so far, we are 13 moves into the game. I haven't really memorized any of this. I'm just playing these simple, logical moves, and I've only spent, I have more time now than I started with. Now, granted, there was a 2-second increment here, but again, it goes to show you 1d4 openings are just, in my opinion, so much easier to play than 1e4 openings, especially for strong amateur players. All right, now black goes a6, threatening b5. That is the main idea of that move here. So I go a4, trying to clamp down on that square and stop the b5 advance. Now, black goes knight e d7, a decent idea. Perhaps he's trying to get out of the way of a future f4 advance. So if I go f4 now, perhaps black will have more time to, counter the idea. But instead of that, I just go bishop h6, trying to trade off the dark squared bishops. Now, here the computer says moves like f4, even g4 are a little bit stronger, or perhaps king to h1 or h2 first, and then f4 and g4. But, this being a blitz game, I didn't want to risk anything too crazy, so bishop h6 was my idea, trying to trade off those bishops, which I felt had to be good for me here. Now, black makes yet another slightly dubious idea. He goes knight to e8. Instead here, the right way forward for black is probably taking on h6 and then going e5, basically trading the dark squared bishop, then getting all of his pawns on those dark squares, at which point, his knights will be doing pretty well. Instead here, black goes knight to e8, a very passive move. I take on g7, bishop takes, then we have king takes, and then simply f4, and I am suddenly very, very close to achieving the desired e5 break. And if I can get e5 in, or even in some circumstances f5 instead, if I can get one of these two moves off under good circumstances, I'm going to have a raging attack here as white. So what is black going to do to stop it? Well, he starts with the move e6. Now, e6 is, of course, the standard pawn break in the modern Benini. However, black normally tries to play it way earlier in the game. This is really like a delayed pawn break here, and this can't be that dangerous. It can't be that good for black. So what can I do to punish this move right here? Well, it turns out there are a lot of options. The simplest one, according to the engine, involves taking on e5, then going e5 myself, effectively blowing open all of these files here, which would have to be good for me. Now, instead of that, in the game, I go rook a to e1, which is a little bit slow. It's not necessarily bad. I'm still a little better, but it does give black the chance to go e5, trying to close down the center. Now, fortunately for me, black didn't do that. He went for the move queen to a5, which this move right here is highly dubious. The reason why is the queen is now so far away from the defense of the king side. And that means if I can get the king side attack going right now, black is going to be in a world of trouble. So how do I do it? Well, I start with the move bishop g4, which turns out is actually a very strong move. The idea being is threatening taking on e6 once and then twice. However, I don't quite follow up perfectly. Black goes knight d to f6. And at this point, actually taking on e6 again is the right idea, but instead I sort of chicken out, go back to the f3 square, bishop to f3. It is a blitz game. I'm playing safe, and I'm still at least a little better, if not a lot better, so it's hard to complain about this move, but overall, not the most ambitious one. All right, black, rook to b8. Very easy to understand the idea behind this move right here. Black is threatening to go b5, trying to get counterplay on the queen side. But here, I find a relatively simple way to get a beautiful attacking game on the king side and really show you the strength of these 1d4 openings, especially these more aggressive 1d4 openings, not the d-pawn specials like the London and so on. And here, I simply take on e6 like this, d takes, then we have f takes, and then the move f5. The point being, as these pawns come off, black's king is going to be just extremely vulnerable. For example, if this g-pawn ever takes here, then queen g5 check will be a strong move. Not winning right away, but it will be a very, very strong way to activate the queen on the king side, and black will be in a lot of trouble. But if he doesn't take here, he's going to get in trouble anyway. So it's kind of a catch-22. No matter what you do as black here, it's not looking good. All right, in the game, black takes on f5, e takes. Then we have e takes, and here, with the e file opening up, rook to e7 is now a very dangerous idea. And black, he takes on f5, g takes, I guess not seeing my idea of rook to e7. And already here, I am just crashing through. I mean, this is a move where you don't even have to really calculate everything. You can just see the idea of rook e7, not calculate anything, and just be like, yep, that is the right square for the rook. Rook to e7 played in the game. And even if black tries to block the attack, I'm going to have ideas like perhaps queen to g5, bishop to d5, and so on, pressuring black's position here. So you can just kind of automatically play this kind of move as white. All right, in the game, black, king to h8, a decent idea. But here, queen to h6, the queen infiltrates. Now, don't get me wrong, there isn't really a decisive threat yet. Yes, you are threatening the rook, but black can defend with, say, rook to g8, and black is going to be fine, which black does fine in the game, rook to g8. So there isn't a decisive threat yet. However, things are going to build up very, very fast. Here, I play the move bishop to d5, a strong move here. The point being, I'm threatening the rook, and if black takes on d5, I can take back with the knight, activating yet another piece into the game. And beyond that, of course, if the knight moves, then queen takes h7 would be checkmate on the spot. So black here is being overloaded very, very rapidly. Now, kudos to him. He does not take on d5. Instead, rook to g7 is the move. The point being, you can't take on g7 with the queen as the knight still controls that square. So black here is hanging on by the smallest of threads here. But don't worry. I have a brilliant move, which I uncorked right here in this position. This one is a shocker. Rook takes f5, a truly, truly good move. And the point being, if black takes on e7, queen to f8 hits the king. The only move is knight to g8, and then you take the knight. For example, rook takes, queen f8, knight g8 is forced, and then you take the knight and win the game. So black obviously cannot do that. What's he going to do? He goes knight to g8, pressuring the queen here. Now, white has a bunch of ways to win here. The strongest one, you know what? If you like puzzles, pause the video right now and try to find the strongest move right here in this position. This one is a beautiful, beautiful shot. The move you want to play as white, and I actually missed this in the game, is rook to f8, pinning the knight to the king, and therefore the queen is not hanging. Now, I actually missed that in the game. I had plenty of time. I should have found it. I'm a little bit weak tactically. Tactics are by far the weakest part of my game. I know what I have to improve on here. But instead of that, I play the move rook takes g7. Now, what is my idea? Well, it's simple. I want to take on g8 and win the game with checkmate. And if black takes on h6, my idea was rook to f8, hitting the king. However, for some reason, I missed the idea that in that line, the rook on g7 hangs. For example, knight takes, rook f8, king takes, and black just wins. There's no attack. You're down the queen. You're completely losing. So I had a winning position, and I completely messed it up. And fortunately, black messed it up as well. He doesn't take the queen, the most obvious move there is. Instead, he takes on g7. And from here, I simply finish off the game. Bishop takes g8. There is no attack on the queen. The knight takes on f5. And then queen takes h7 is checkmate. So other than this massive, colossal blunder here, it was a pretty good game by me overall. And it really does show you why I think, for myself and most improving players, 1d4, especially followed up by 2c4, heading for these Queen's Gambit style structures, is just a much better way to play than 1e4. I think you get more aggressive positions. I think they're a lot easier to understand. It's easier to play with more space than it is the all-out initiative. And besides, with 1e4, the one thing I don't like about 1e4 is black has so many different options, and all of them lead to wildly different types of positions with like different feels for how the game progresses. And it's so hard to play all of these different lines as white and to play aggressively and play for an advantage. So again, I think overall for myself and most improving players, 1d4 is likely the way to go. But that is just my personal opinion based on my own personal experience playing online. So yours may vary. You may think 1e4 is the way to go. Have at it, but this is just my own personal experience right here. All right, Chess YouTube, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash that like button and comment down below what you thought of the game. And if you want to learn directly from me, learn my exact 1d4, 2c4 repertoire for white, or as black, my black openings against, say, 1e4, 1d4, 1c4, 1 knight f3, and so on. I do have a chess community where I'm building out files and videos and PGN files and so on for all my current openings right now. So if you want to learn directly from me, learn all my openings, get free group, or not free, but get group coaching and so on from me, direct access to me, the link is down below in the description for the video or the pinned comment. It should be there as well. So check it out. You may like it, you may not, but I'm trying to build a really, really good community for you guys, a really good course. But anyways, that is all for today. And as always, I wish you the best of luck in your chess improvement journey in 2025 and beyond. And I will see you in the next video.